Welcome to my fourth ever Wild Watches video. Today, I will talk about the movies I watched in the month of April. I will speak about them individually, starting now. The first movie I watched was It Came for Friendship But Found Food. This was a odd movie that I watched with the B-Raiders. It's more like a student film, but it was enjoyable. There were some interesting aspects to it. I don't remember a whole bunch about it, but it was rather vintage. The second movie I watched was The Beast, the film that was based off the book by Peter Benjali. I love this movie. I grew up watching it ever since I was like probably 4 or 5 years old. It's a classic. The third movie I watched was Under Siege, the Steven Seagal Die Hard on a Battleship movie. As ridiculous as it is, it's still a fun time to watch. It's one hell of a voyage. The fourth movie I watched was Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. I actually watched this twice. You see, my dad had already seen Under Siege. Then I watched Under Siege 2, and then I showed it to my dad. It's not as good as the first. It's not even a good movie whatsoever, but it is still highly entertaining. The fifth movie I watched was Eye of the Beast. Again, I watched this, then I showed it to my dad. It is a great sci-fi channel film that went under the radar, and he loved it. The sixth movie I watched was Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I already talked about this in my first Wild Watches video, when I talked about the movies I watched in the month of January. It is definitely a lot like the first Star Wars, or as you probably know it now as Star Wars Episode 4, but it is still a great fun time. And it is a lot better than any of the prequels. The seventh movie I watched was It's Alive, the 1974 classic. This film is awesome. I read the book for this, and I plan to review it soon. The eighth movie I watched was The Hallow. This is actually a really great movie. Well shot, scary in some scenes, disturbing, and well acted. The ninth movie I watched was Zombies. Yeah, I watched it again. I had to show my mom this time. It's a classic in the making. The 10th movie I watched was Robocop, the 1987 film. This is actually the first time I ever saw it. I know, blasphemy. This is a great movie. Oh my god, I loved it. It was ridiculous, it was fun, and it had a great message in it, like a lot of Paul Verhoeven films do. The 11th movie I watched was Octopus 2, River of Fear. I had already seen Octopus 1. That was a fun time. Octopus 2? What the fuck just happened? The 12th movie I watched was It Lives Again, the sequel to It's Alive. This is not as good as the first, but it is still a fun time. I read the book to this as well, and I plan to review it soon, too. The 13th movie I watched was Bride of Re-Animator, on the Arrow Blu-ray, of course. This is a great film, almost as good as the first, but not quite as good. The 14th movie I watched, and the last movie for that matter, in the month of April, was Beyond Re-Animator. This is definitely the weakest of the trilogy, but it is still a really good time. And that is it. The movies I watched in the month of April. I am Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Movie Reviews. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below and to leave comments and subscribe. Stay tuned for May for the 5th Wild Watches video. And also, thank you so much all for waiting. My computer was shit before.